Yeah. Cool. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself, the typical interview question, and then as it relates to your entrepreneurial aspirations, or what are your entrepreneurial
Well,
aspirations?
sure. Well, my name is Ben. For anyone watching that just
Hmm.
joined in, um, I'm a senior at Tulane University. I'm originally from the greater Chicagoland area. I came to Tulane to study finance and management. I'm also a participant of the 5-year accounting program here on campus. I'll actually be working with Ernst& Young this upcoming busy season in their financial services audit practice. Uh, that's pretty the all-inclusive professional background up to this point. As far as entrepreneurship, it's something that I've been passionate about uh, as long as I can remember, and there's certainly plenty of lemonade stand stories, as many people
Hmm.
have. But for me, as it pertains to what I'm doing right now, the real start came from something I've been doing with my parents since I was young, going to garage and estate sales, finding random items, widespread. There's no characterization of what I was looking for, but I'd find items that I felt were undervalued, purchase them, and then resell them on eBay,
Hmm.
Craigslist, you name it. So that I turned into a little business over time.
Hmm.
And my idea for BragOn, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little
Hmm.
bit here, really sprouted out of that passion.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's a nice smooth transition to the next question. Can you tell us more about BragOn? What is the idea? What problem is it solving? And just more as to what you're doing specifically with that business.
Sure. Well, let me cover the idea for BragOn came out of the this desire that I had to share what I was finding at these estate and garage sales with other people. Now, it took a different turn, as the idea developed, but it's still largely relating back to sharing the excitement of what you find. There's an inherent culture that exists in deal finding and bargain hunting. People love to encounter unexpected deals. It's
Mhm.
just an incredibly exciting experience. So to be able to share that with others, that's where this all came from. So the way that BragOn works is you enter our app and you tag or select categories of products that you're interested in purchasing or following. So Ethan, let's say that you're interested in purchasing or following
Mhm.
t-shirts and hamburgers. You would tag those two categories. Simultaneously, all other users do that same step. And when you're in the local retail environment and find what you interpret to be a deal, you brag about it. And because other users have indicated interest, they will receive the brags that you send out from those categories. So for example, if I went to a store and found a deal on a t-shirt, let's say I found a deal at Macy's on a t-shirt, Ethan, you would receive that in your feed on BragOn because you followed the t-shirt
Mhm.
category. So it's a very simple process, but essentially it sprouts a mock-up and expansion of
Right.
word of mouth in the local retail environment, and the things that we do off of that to turn it into a comprehensive, exciting, fun tool for the user to
Mhm.
use, as well as the interactive experience we incorporate for the
Mhm.
merchants. That it really comes together into something that's really unique, and we're really excited to
Yeah,
roll it out.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Uh, I hear an echo. Is that
I hear an
on your
echo. Is that
computer
on
or
your
mine?
computer or
It's
mine?
kind of weird.
Echo of your
Of my
voice or
voice.
mine? Of my voice. That would be because I don't have any headphones in right now,
Hmm.
probably.
Could you possibly find headphones if they're nearby? Mhm. Gonna pause. Well, I guess I won't the recording. I'll just have it one. Well, should I pause the recording or not pause the recording to the third viewer? Oh, I'll just continue recording.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, and I don't hear my echo now, so
Yeah,
Cool. Thank you.
no problem.
So yeah, could you tell us more about, I guess, the rollout strategy and launch, and when that's coming up, and what students at Tulane should expect from BragOn in the coming weeks?
Sure. So as far as our service goes, we've made a concentrated effort to make it fun, and so that's at the bottom line of the experience that we're driving. So we recognize that we have to maintain that aptitude of our service when we roll it out to different constituent groups. Because we're rolling it out to students at Tulane, we've identified different categories of products that we feel the student population is most passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Our categories include food, alcohol, nightlife, and clothing.
Uh-huh.
Those are just to start, and we have the full discretion to continue to add and manage our category system. But we feel that those caught a couple of the key areas that the student body experiences in their lives at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So what to expect? We have submitted our app to Apple for review. So what that means is within the next week, relatively, we'll be live on the App Store. The app has been developed exclusively for iOS at this point, or Apple operating systems. And so we'll be rolling out the full system and launch in the next week or so.
That's exciting, man. So, well, you guys are just waiting then for the App Store to give you that okay, and then once you have that okay, you guys will pick a date. Is that how it's going to work?
I mean, we don't. I don't know if I'm gonna call it a date, because we don't view launch as a one-day task. It's an extenuated process. It can take a month. It could take a year. But we have certain goals that we've set out for ourselves. And so once we have achieved those, we will call it launch. Now, when Apple gets back to us and approves the app and lists it on the App Store, then effectively we have launched. But we need to be able to organize the back end and the push from our organizational support to really make it a launch.
Right. Cool. Awesome. Could you speak about what needs you currently have at the stage that you're at, right prior to launch, and what support you're looking for from other students, and then more specifically, how these students can get involved and help you out, help the team out?
Sure. So we're actively expanding our team. The way that I have worked with my co-founders to establish our organizational structure is such that we want people that are passionate about the idea working with us. And so we're looking for other students that see the value in what we're doing fundamentally, and that want to contribute in some way. We want to find a spot for anyone who's interested and qualified to work with us, because we can benefit in any number of ways as a small organization. Now, specifically, we are looking for students with a high aptitude for marketing, sales, or even just social skills, because at the advent of our launch here and of the creation of our business, we need people that are excited about BragOn and want to talk about it and spread the word and get their friends on it because of what it has to offer. So we're really just looking for people that are motivated and want to contribute in some way. The beauty of what we're doing, though, is that it's a small organization and the role can evolve. So we're looking for people that are just at the outset interested and want to be a part of it in some way, and we can find ways to incorporate them as we continue to grow.
Yeah.
And just as a final piece to that, we've launched a internship program. It's listed on the Freeman School, that's a business school, CMC website. And we've already taken on a couple interns, and we are certainly looking to continue to expand that program. So anyone interested should either contact the CMC or contact us at bragonapp@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very cool. What would you say was the most difficult part about starting BragOn in the early stages? I guess you're still are in the early stages.
We're still early stages.
And so
yeah, I mean, nothing comes easy. I'm sure you've learned that through your time with Fail Up. Nothing ever comes easy. It seems that the small things that should be really simply achieved are what actually are the most difficult to achieve most of the time. But we've had several major roadblocks. One of the more recent ones was that we had a member working with us internally, and due to personal circumstances, he wasn't able to continue to work with us in the same way that he had in the past. So we had to avert and find another way to develop the app. We tried to use his network to find another person at Tulane with coding experience that could help us continue and pick up from where he left off. But ultimately, we were unsuccessful. And, we spent a long time grinding it out, but eventually we're connected through another student entrepreneur to a tech firm in India that we have now since partnered with to develop our application and web interface. So I would say that process was one of the more difficult challenges that we faced, and certainly in terms of drawing out the excitement and the momentum from behind our project. It was tough to overcome.
Yeah, right. Well, I from what I've heard from other students and my experience with Fail Up, definitely those internal team operational issues are big ones.
Sure.
Cool. The next question: what do you think student entrepreneurs need most? And according to what you have observed, what are their most typical struggles? I guess we kind of just talked about this.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I hope to help, certainly on campus, spark more interest in figuring out the answers to this question, so that we can help other students achieve their goals and really turn our community into something great. Though I can only speak from my personal experience, and I have a short lifespan as a working entrepreneur. But in my experience, and from who I've talked to, the biggest challenge that people face is overcoming this phenomenon about sharing your idea. You have an idea, and the only way in which you really are able to develop it into what it needs to be is by sharing with other people. But you have to be very careful about how you go about doing that. And it's not because you should be fearful of someone stealing your idea. In fact, that is not the case. Until you prove that your idea is worth stealing, no one's going to want to steal it. So you got to do all that hard work first to start the business and start making money before anyone in their right mind is going to come along and try and steal your idea. So that's something that young entrepreneurs tend to overlook. But I'd say the biggest challenge is finding people like you that have a similar approach to evaluating opportunities, to understanding a business concept, and sharing with them and seeing how they feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to share your idea at the most basic level. And I'm speaking about the passion behind it. So for BragOn, it was about virtualizing that deal finding community, the excitement,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's a living, breathing social platform for deal finding.
Mm-hmm.
For another idea, it may be something dramatically different, but the bottom line is that you have to share what actually made you come up with the idea in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Get the person to understand at the idea's inception, the basic level, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Because if you don't, then they start thinking on these higher levels, and there's an inherent gap between what you're actually trying to accomplish at the core of the concept and what you are generating in terms of new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that can quickly derail a student in terms of trying to find a resolute path
Mm-hmm.
for starting their business or pursuing their idea. So that's a long-winded answer to what you had asked, but I think it's something that is easily managed. The entrepreneur just has to take the time to share that it is required.
Right. Most definitely. Those are very critical, important steps, and a hard thing to do, to be able to communicate that effectively and be able to identify those people that share those opinions.
Sure.
Cool. So what have you learned? Well, you've also spoken some to this, but each of these questions are hopefully different enough. What have you learned from your entrepreneurial experiences, and how valuable were those lessons?
I've learned more in the process of starting this business
Mm-hmm.
than I have in any other professional or academic
Mm-hmm.
experience. I like to think of it like this. You're essentially in a free fall. You have no control over anything but your own being. And all you have to do is take the leap. If you leap off the edge, it's all up to gravity from there. So what I've learned in my experience is that you have to prepare yourself to take that leap, because as many people there are that are extreme and daredevils, it's not so easy to get yourself to jump off the edge without a parachute, not knowing how you're going to possibly navigate to the other side of whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So my all encapsulating piece of wisdom that I've taken away from my experience thus far is that you really have to open yourself up and soak up information and knowledge as you are learning to do what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds quite simple, and it actually is simple to do once you are thinking intuitively. If you just keep your head down and work towards whatever you're trying to accomplish, it happens naturally. It's very easy to get detracted from, or distracted rather, from what you're trying to accomplish for your idea, your business. And that can take away from your experience. It takes the fun out of it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it really is just about enjoying what you're doing, because if you don't, then your business or idea are doomed from the outset. Because the amount of time that you have to spend to turn it into anything of value is so absurd that you better enjoy it, because if you don't, it's going to be miserable. Mm-hmm. So I would say that those are some of my thoughts on takeaways from this experience.
Right. And kind of building on that, what do you believe is the value of getting involved in startups while in college?
Well, I have done my due diligence, obviously working with BragOn. And I've spoken with a number of people in different industries, venture capital, legal, marketing, even accounting professionals about what I'm doing. And a common question that I get is, why now? Why are you doing this now? And my response is always, why not now? I'm 21 years old, almost 22, actually a week from today.
Nice.
So I don't have any responsibilities beyond those that relate directly to me and my friends and family, obviously. But in terms of some of the more crucial things that you face as you grow up and move on in your life, you got to provide for your family, keep the roof over their head, put food on the table with your spouse. Both of you have to do that to make sure that your kids have the life that you want them to have. And so I'm free of all of those responsibilities at this point. So where is there a better time to take a chance, take a risk, and invest an absurd amount of time in trying to make some far-fetched dream happen? Right. That's, another piece of, there's plenty of talks out there, speeches or presentations you can read. And I forget which exactly it was, but someone was saying that if you want to get rich, if you want to make a lot of money, there's a million better ways to make $1 million than starting your own business. I mean, there really are. So it's not easy. It's not fun at times in the individual tasks, but the larger part of it is fun. And as a college student, it's a unique way to expose yourself to a different side of life at an earlier stage.
Cool. Most definitely. I agree with pretty much everything you're saying. Just I taking the role of the person who interviews, I want to go back and just have a normal conversation, but I know the point's not for me to talk. So just to let you know that you're not talking to a wall, just blankly agreeing. But I do have thoughts, and very much we've had these conversations before.
Yeah.
Cool.
No problem.
Yeah. Could you describe what entrepreneurship looks like at Tulane and specifically the business school?
Sure. I came to Tulane because I thought there was an incredible opportunity present on this campus. We really have a great community, a highly motivated community that sees the opportunity that I recognized when I stepped on campus the summer before my freshman year. And really, we've done a lot of things out of the resurgence from Hurricane Katrina that have really revitalized Tulane and the greater New Orleans community, and it's been incredible. But I'm not content with where we are now. Still, we've done a lot of great things, but I think there's a lot that we still need to accomplish. Tulane at its core, and this is one of the reasons why I came to Tulane to begin with, is dedicated to social service. And that is an incredible aspect of what Tulane offers to New Orleans and the academic community. Subsequently, the entrepreneurial focus, and I know you're close to this, Ethan, is largely on the social side of entrepreneurship. And that side has been developed very well to support students that are interested in pursuing opportunities in that space. Where I think that we fall behind is on the other side. And I don't think that it's a end-all be-all equation where entrepreneurship for entrepreneurship's sake can't exist in conjunction with one of the premier social entrepreneurship programs that I have ever encountered. So on campus, the way that I would describe the community, I would say it's like in hibernation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a lot of highly motivated students with great ideas, and I've met a lot of them already. And I know that there are a plethora of others that are just waiting to
Mm-hmm.
come out of the woodwork. But we don't have the support system in place to help them achieve what they're
Mm-hmm.
pushing towards. And so I've found that that it's been a struggle for me personally. And I've seen that the administration recognizes what I'm describing, and they are instituting changes. In fact, onto your business school part of the question, the business school has already announced a massive renovation of Goldring Wildenberg
Mm-hmm.
Hall 1, so the original business school building, in which it's putting on a large addition to create additional class spaces, meeting spaces. But part of that is also a very significant sum of funding for entrepreneurship and refining that office and program. So I have high expectations for the future in terms of right now, the way that the lens that through which I view things, because I'm trying to start a business now, not 10 years from now, is that there is a big hole that needs to be filled. And I think Fail Up is doing a good job of assuming that role right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great opportunity for what you guys are doing. But I certainly think that there's plenty of work to be done. And one of the things that I would just like to throw out there in the air as an example is one of the biggest challenges that I've encountered is the legal setup of a business, right? And that's something that should not have to be a challenge, because this university has the staff, the capability, and the community to support that type of activity.
Right.
And provide that type of support for student entrepreneurs. So I feel that I should be able to go walk into an office on campus at Tulane and speak with someone about IP strategy without having to spend a quarter of the funds that I've raised, and that wouldn't even make a dent in what I have to accomplish. So I think a great example of what Tulane could be doing is, hiring someone to be hiring a recent college law school graduate to serve in a full-time role that services student entrepreneurs. You want to start an LLC, you need to form a operating agreement, you need help in filing for trademarks or patents or et cetera. I think that should be something that is provided for in this community to help bring entrepreneurship to Tulane and create a systematic, ecosystem by which students are empowered to achieve their ultimate goals. And what, if you look at that as a investment for Tulane, it's a great one, because what better way can you invest in your future than helping your students and future alumni to succeed? Because at the end of the day, that's where the endowment is getting its funding. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Agree with you on that one. There is actually Professor Townsend in the law school teaches an intellectual property class, and she's been trying to start something called Law, Culture, and Innovation, to create sort of that support system for budding entrepreneurs. But I think it's been sort of a slow process at the institutional level.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully, I can take a snippet of this conversation of what you said and send it over to her, and then she can use that to show to people at the institutional level who make budget decisions to speed this up, because
and
that'll be valuable.
And I've been working with other faculty members to try and to share the student perspective as well. So I think it's really important that we connect the two sides, because
Right.
it's certainly clear and evident in the fact that, once again, with the business school and the plans that they've announced, to, inject the entrepreneurship program with funding in excess. I don't quote me. I believe it's in excess of $10 million. Obviously there's a motivation there. So I think we just need to connect both sides and figure out what would actually help students to succeed.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a good sounding plan.
Yeah, most definitely. And like you said, we'll try and do our best momentarily.
Yeah.
Trying to fulfill that role to some
Yeah.
degree. So speaking more, I guess, about Fail Up in particular, could you describe your experience on Fail Up thus far? I know you haven't actually been able to find collaborators yet, but what have you observed on the platform? And can you just summarize your experience thus far?
Sure. So we've had this discussion outside discussions as well. We've talked about this before, you and I, but it's a tough question for me to answer with BragOn, because we're in a different stage than I feel is the primary focus of the service. So for us, it was a little different, because certainly we haven't had the collaboration component firing at all cylinders at this point, and I think that will help greatly once we do. But as far as the idea critique, I think that's a very valuable component, just so that as an entrepreneur is thinking about their idea, they can understand how different people look at it, and they can start to see how the idea needs to be developed, because not everyone has taken 5 classes on how to start a business, create a business model, and actually execute a go-to-market strategy. So it's a big step to be able to automatically have access to insight from people who have been there before. I think that's a great component. So that's how I would describe the community on Fail Up, not Facebook. On Fail Up is that it's engaging different people in a discussion about entrepreneurship, which I think is interesting and also should help entrepreneurs in early stages to refine their ideas. But with the same caution that I spoke about earlier, is that I don't think that the actual collaboration, and I don't think it's intended to, should take place on Fail Up. I think the bottom line is that you have someone, and this is how I've reacted to anyone who's commented on BragOn. I hope that more people do. Is that I value their input. I'm really happy to see that someone read our idea and felt passionate about it enough or interested in enough to take the time to write a response and think critically about what it is that we're accomplishing. So when I find that, I don't necessarily agree with what they're saying, but at the same time, I value the fact that they are taking the time to understand and think about my idea. And those are the people that I want to connect with. So that's how I would describe my experience on Fail Up thus far, even though I haven't seen those connections occur. I get a comment on my idea, and then I engage that user. I say, thank you so much for your input, and I'd love to speak with you further about what your thoughts are on what we're doing, because I'm open to any and all criticisms or questions. It helps me better evaluate and understand my business. So it's a really great thing to be able to connect with people that are interested in working on it.
Awesome. And yeah, hopefully more of those collaborations and will actually happen once the network grows and users understand, once it's more clear how to actually use the platform, because I mean, it's not the most clear at this point.
Hey, check this out. I just noticed to the right here we got a question.
Oh, do we? Oh,
probably
BragOn.
Yeah, don't know when that came in.
Yeah, I think I guess that was a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, how was I heard from Jared that you went to LRI. How was that?
I had a great experience, talking with them about what we're working on, and some of, I got some valuable feedback from them as far as a way to approach different challenges that I'm facing.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I just don't feel that they are empowered at this point to do what I would love for them to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're certainly interested, but they don't have the resources yet.
Right.
So it's like for me at the point where I'm at, where I've actually taken the leap, I've already taken the leap as you have, mm-hmm. and invested time and money mm-hmm. With my team mm-hmm. In BragOn. We're at a different stage than I feel they are best positioned to help mm-hmm. People with, is because I think that they can help people get along and move from I have a really good idea to how do I turn this into an organization and a business, and how do I write this down on paper, mm-hmm. and who do I need to talk to get advice on how I should do this. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of at the advent of the launch phase, where we move from planning to actual execution. So it's really about expanding our network to the people that are positioned to help us. One of the things actually we spoke about was connecting with the law school to see what resources are and are not available there, mm-hmm. To see if we could not get some more experienced students, maybe in a JD MBA type program, to work with us. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those things have arisen out of that conversation that I had at the Levy Rosenblum Institute, mm-hmm. As well as other places on campus. So it's really exciting. I was really happy that they took the time to meet with me. And Jared has been helping me better gauge and understand my team's role, or our organization's role, in the Tulane entrepreneurial community as it stands today. Because we want to be a bigger part of it. We're just trying to figure out where we fit in, because we, at least at this point, haven't developed anything that is explicitly socially focused. Mm-hmm. So we're working on evaluating if there are ways that we can do that, and also, just as we are now, how we fit into that community. And mm-hmm. what resources are available to us based off of that role.
Right. Cool. Awesome, man. So I think that concludes the list of formal questions I had. I guess as a sort of final question, imagine new aspiring entrepreneur, freshman, come to Tulane, excited, want to get involved. In entrepreneurship, they maybe have an idea, maybe are thinking about starting an idea, unsure, don't really know where to go, what to do. What would your sort of suggestions or be for that audience?
It all goes back to what we spoke about earlier, is that you have to be willing to share what your idea is with other people. Find people that are motivated to speak with them about your idea. See if it connects with them on the basic level, mm-hmm. That they understand what you're trying to accomplish as far as the mission, the core values that you stand for. Mm-hmm. Because it's a beautiful thing when that works and it starts to mobilize everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else falls down after you do that. My proudest moment as an entrepreneur to this point is encapsulated by, I guess, two experiences. So these are fun stories. So, well, the first one is a little less fun. I'll start with that. But I spoke in front of my business fraternity, AK Psi, which I've actually also used heavily to develop my organization. The other two founders that have joined me on BragOn are out of AK Psi, out of that network. But I actually went and presented to them, and I had people coming up to me after the presentation, and they were not only supporting what I had said and shared with my idea, but they were thinking about it in the way that I think about it, which to me means that I was able in some way through the dispersal of words and tones of voice, I was able to communicate what it is that BragOn is about. And that registered for them in their own minds. And they were then able to, off of that fundamental understanding, start to think about BragOn in the way that I do. And that is an incredible experience. So I think that being able to approach others to share is the biggest step that you take as an entrepreneur. As a student, don't be afraid to go ask people that you think have experience, that have been there before, because you'll learn from them more than you can ever learn from reading a textbook or watching a video in class. So, and I just want to share, this is a more personal story to exemplify what I'm talking about. We have at this point roughly 6 or 7 people on the BragOn team, and we're looking to expand beyond that. But one of our additions earlier on in our development was Parker. He's our designer. And so Parker's been doing great work for us for a long time in designing the UI interface. And what's interesting is when I first came up with the idea for BragOn, I actually wanted to call it Braggin. So like dragon without the D, replace it with a B. I don't know why, but I had this ornate concept that the users would brag about deals in their local retail environment to rise through the ranks and become a bragging master. Okay, it had this whole dragon theme. And when I shared the idea, the other two founders were like, wow, this idea is incredible. We love it. We want it. We're really excited about it, but you got to get rid of this dragon thing. This is really weird. And at that time, people were like, okay, that's kind of corny as well. So interesting. Fast forward, Parker is our designer. He was working on our UI interface, and I told him, Parker, we want a really fun, unique theme character for BragOn. It's like a virtual version of all of the users that are bragging. And I said, you have full creative discretion. Do whatever comes to your mind. So he goes home, he gets to work, and a week later presents to me his finished product. And guess what it was?
BragOn.
It was the Braggin' Dragon. It was the Braggin' Dragon. That was the birth of the Braggin' Dragon, who's our theme character.
Oh wow!
So the what I'm getting at through this long-winded story is that I took the time with my team to share the concept of BragOn with Parker, and not only like what we actually do. So what I did earlier today in describing what it is that BragOn does, but in why we are doing what we're doing. And he took that fundamental understanding of the concept, internalized it, and began thinking about it in the same way that I do, to the extent that he came up with the theme character of a dragon like a dragon like I had originally. Okay, so
Yeah.
and here's a
Wow.
little peek at the BragOn Dragon
Oh
for
wow.
all interested
That's
parties. So
awesome.
that's a really good example. It's a lot of fun. I think that's the most gratifying experience that you could have. So
Hmm.
I hope to continue to see that as I work through my business.
Huh.
But it's really fun. But that would be the biggest long-winded piece of advice that I have.
Hmm. Wow. That's awesome, man.
Resume. All right, guys. Well, thank you for your time today. Follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/BragOn. You can be our first ever Twitter follower if you'd like. And download our app once it's live. That should be in about a week. So happy Halloween and thank you.